We're holding over here. Omamar. It's 2, 4, 6, 8, 11 lines from the top of the page. On Gimel Amud Beis 3b. Okay. So the Brisa said we have a hekesh. The Torah juxtaposes Nedarim to Nazir. So what do I learn from Nedarim? We learn from Nedarim just as a person violates his neder, you're in violation of Bal Yachel. You're not permitted to profane your word. So if a person he's a Nazir and he violates his Nazirus, he's in violation of Bal Yachel. Just as a person, if he makes a neder, he says, I will bring a korban. If 3 regalim pass, he does not, he's in violation of Bal Tacher. You've delayed bringing the korban. Identically, by a Nazir, if you delay your Nazirus, you're in violation of what? Of Bal Tacher. That's what the Gemara said. So the Gemara first starts off with Bal Yachil. Because the Gemara understands, if a person makes a neder, let's a person say, I will not, this piece of bread is off limits to me. Like a korban. Let's see, it's forbidden. And let's say you would eat that bread, this loaf of bread. What are you in violation of? Bal Yachil Dvoro. Since you establish as a forbidden item the bread, so now that you eat the bread, you profaned your words. Because your words establish as something not permitted. So by eating it, but when you how many lavim are you in violation? 1. So the Gemara understands now, just as by neder you're only in violation of 1. So if you make yourself a nazir, say Hareini nazir, and you drink wine and you cut your hair or go to the cemetery, you violate your nazirus. How many lavim should you be in violation? 1. So that's the Gemara's question. What do you mean? If you drink wine, you violated your nazirus. So you're in violation of 2, not 1. So they're not comparable. So that was the Gemara's question originally. Omamar. So we learned in the Brisa. Omad Nedarim over Bal Yachel or Bal Tacher. By Nedarim in violation of Bal Tacher and Bal Yachel, Bishlam Bal Yachel the Nedarim Mishkachoslo. By Yachel we have the case. What's the case? Goldomar Kikozu Eini Ochel. This bread I will not eat. V'ochlo. O Bal Yachel Dvaro. Ela Bal Yachel the Nazirus. Hech Mishkachoslo. How are you in violation about why? Kevin the Omar Reini Nazir. Havilei Nazir. The moment you say, I am a Nazir, you say, what are you? You assume the status of a Nazir, correct? Person says, I am a Nazir. Immediately, the restriction to drink wine, to cut your hair, to contaminate, come into effect immediately, correct? Ochal komlei, bebal yochal, shosa komlei bebal yishta. If he eats grapes, he violated law, you shall not eat, correct? You're not permitted to eat a grape product. And if you drink wine, you're in violation of, you're not permitted to drink wine. Omar Rav, so Rav answers, level of Vishnei Lavim, Vishnayim. Meaning, when we compare, it doesn't mean to say it's identically the same. Regarding a neder, you're only in violation of Bal Yachel. But if you violate your Nazirus, what I learned from the Hekesh is that in addition to be violating your Nazirus, you're also in violation of Bal Yachel. Okay? Bal Ta'achir din Nazirus Eichem Mishkachos Lo. What's the case of Bal Ta'achir of Nazirus? Kevadom Hareini Nazir Havalei Nazir. Yeah? A person, the moment, what's Bal Ta'achir? You should not delay the Nazirus. So what's the case? A man says Hareini Nazir. The moment you say Hareini Nazir, you're in Nazir immediately. Ochal Komli Bal Tochal. And if you once you say, I am a Nazir, if you eat, you're in violation of Bal Tochal. Samar says, you know what it's speaking about? Bomech She'ertze Nazir. Person says, when I will choose to be a Nazir, I will be a Nazir. Samar asks, the Omak She'ertze, Leka Bal Ta'achir. I mean, it's conditional. Bal Ta'achir means you have an obligation to do something. If you delay 3 regalim, you're in violation of Bal Ta'achir. But if the man says, when I choose to be a Nazir, I will be a Nazir. So that means he has no obligation to make himself a Nazir. So that's the first question. He says, Lech She'ertze. Take a look in the Ran. Let's take a look in Ran. First wide line. Omamar, El Bal Yachel the Nazir Seichem Mishkachos Lo. That's the first question. How do you have a case by Nazir where we were only in violation of Bal Yachel? The Kosel Gedaito, Geheche de Benedorim Lek Elochad Lav, just as if you violate your neder, you're in violation of only 1 lav. Hochenam Binazirus, same thing, if you violate your Nazirus, you're in violation of 1 lav. Otherwise, Lo Shavadori, they're not comparable. The Ode, near Beinai, Mishum Damira Per Kol Shod, the Gemara says in Psochim, Kol Hecho, the Ikob, the Midrash Darshinon, That whenever, if you're able to interpret something differently, you don't interpret it that you should be in violation of multiple lavim. We should have said the hekesh is teaching me other things. Not just increase lavim. The Gemara says no. The question is not a question. That when you say Arami Nazir, if you drink wine, in addition to be violating your Nazirus, you're also profaning your words. You're a violation of Vayachil. If it's a question of interpreting a pasuk, I'm able to interpret the pasuk to say there should be more lavim, or to interpret it differently. I don't interpret it just to increase how many violations there are. But what's a hekesh? Hekesh is A is like B. So if the Torah is comparing, that means whatever B is, A is. So it's not I'm interpreting it differently. Hekesh means the Torah is comparing the two to compare them, fully compare one to the Kasha Li. Now we ask an interesting question. If a person drinks wine, he's in violation, he violated, you're not permitted to drink wine. You're a Nazir. So we're saying the Hekesh goes, just as by Neder, if you violate your Neder, you're in violation of Bal Yachal because you profaned your words. So if you violate your Nazirus, in addition to violating being a Nazir, you profaned your words. Because originally you said be a Nazir, now you violated your words. So he says, let's learn the Hekesh the other way. Just as by Nazir, if you drink wine within 30 days, you're in violation of Bal Yishteh, you're not permitted to drink. Or if you eat the grape, you're not permitted to eat. So in addition to Bal Yachel, by a Neder, you should also be in violation of Bal Yochal, you shouldn't eat, you shouldn't drink. A Hekesh goes both ways. As we compare B to A, you should compare A to B. So the answer is very simple. He says, Bishlam Bayachal Shach Lemijush bin Nazirus, Kiddushat bin Nedarim. Just as if you violate your neder, what do you violate? You're profaning your words. By Nazir also, by not keeping your word, and you drink wine, that means you're not keeping your word. To say that if you eat something, you're in violation of Al Yochal, similar to Nazir, you can't. Why? What are you not permitted to do by Nazir? It's limited. You're permitted to benefit from grapes. You're not permitted to what? To eat the grapes or drink the wine. What is, when we speak on neder, what is neder? Neder is all-inclusive. You can't limit neder. We're comparing, the question was, let neder be like Nazir. Neder can't be like Nazir because neder is so expansive, it includes even you're not permitted to benefit. They're not comparable. Therefore, you can't say when you violate your neder, you should be in violation of Al Yochal. But neder means even you're not permitted to benefit. It depends how you construct the neder. Therefore, it's not possible to say neder is learned from Nazir. Okay? Now the Gemara is asked the question. It says you're in violation of Bal Ta'achid by Nazirus. The Gemara says, Bal Ta'achid in Nazirus, nir be'enai pirusha, d'shmaitza. Dochi maksha. This is the Gemara's question. When a person says, I will bring a korban, and you allow 3 regalim to pass, you're in violation of Bal Ta'achid. It just says you should not delay the bringing of your korban. Correct? You consecrate a korban, and you don't bring it to the Beis HaMikdash, you let 3 regalim pass. What did you do? You delayed bringing the korban. But over there, what do you have to do? The person says, Harei Olai, I accept the promise to bring the korban. So in addition to accepting, you have to do something. Correct? You have to consecrate the animal, and you got to bring it. You have to bring it. So if he delays in either one, you delayed bringing. Person says, Hareini Nazir. The moment you say Hareini Nazir, you're a Nazir immediately. What's possible to talk about delaying? Right? I say Hareini Nazir. So what are you? Immediately you restrict, you're not permitted to drink wine, eat grapes, cut your hair, and contaminate yourself. And now for the next 30 days, I'm locked into that situation. So that's the worst question. How do you have Bal Ta'achir? How could you delay bring a Nazir? Either you're a Nazir or you're not a Nazir. Okay? That's what he says. Person says, I accept upon myself to bring a korban. What does that mean? So what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to bring the animal. Person says, Hareini Nazir. Harei Olai Nazir. Person says, I accept upon myself Nazir. What does that mean? You're a Nazir immediately. Maybe he says, I accept myself. When I choose to be a Nazir, I'll be a Nazir. So the verse says, again, that's not Bal Ta'achir. Because it was contingent and said, when I choose to be. So you can't say if you delay. So he says, it's conditional. Now, let's get back to the Gemara. So Ravi Amar Rav going to Omar. Now, he says something. Let's say a person says like this, I will not leave this world until I accept upon myself Nazirus. Let's say a person would make that kind of statement. Does anybody know when he's going to die? So therefore, what is he saying? I have to be a Nazir before I leave the world. That means I have to accept upon myself Nazirus immediately. Let's say he doesn't. And he lets 3 go, right? He doesn't. He's in violation of Bal Ta'achir. Mern says, I will be a Nazir before I die. He says, well, I plan dying in 5 years from now. Nobody knows when he's going to die. So what's included within that obligation? To accept upon himself to be a Nazir. Now, let's say he doesn't. You're delayed. You're in violation of Bal Ta'achir, because according to your statement, you have to accept immediately. So if he doesn't accept immediately, he's delaying the acceptance. That's the situation where you're in violation of Bal Ta'achir. Okay, let's see in the Gemara. Okay, from that moment going Havalei Nazir. From that moment he has an obligation on Nazir. What is it similar? Let's say a person gives his wife. A person is a Kohen. The wife of a Kohen is permitted to eat truma, and he gives his wife a Kohen. He gives his wife a get, that the get should take effect a moment before he dies. You hear? Which means he has no children. A woman is only if she's a wife because she's permitted to eat truma. If she has no children, only as long as she's married to him. Let's say she's widowed, and she has no children from him. She's not permitted to eat truma. Right? He says to her, the get should take effect a moment before I die. She has to stop eating truma immediately, because maybe the next moment is the moment he may die, and the get, as she's divorced, she's not the wife of a Kohen any longer, so she's not permitted to eat truma. Correct? She's not permitted to eat truma immediately, because you never know, the next moment may be the moment when he may die. So what do I say? Every moment he may die. That's why we don't allow to eat truma. For the same reason, he says, a moment before I die, I will be a Nazir before I die. That means you have to have a 30-day period that he's going to be a Nazir. So since the person doesn't know when he's going to die, so what did he accept upon himself? To accept upon himself Nazirus before he dies. And since you don't, so what does that mean? That means he has to accept it immediately. If he doesn't accept it immediately, you have a Torah obligation to accept it immediately. And if you don't, that means you've delayed. Delay accepting upon yourself what you're supposed to, you're in violation of Bal Ta'achir. Do not delay. Because he may die now. Take a look in the Ran. The Ran says beautifully over here. Because they're not exactly comparable, but they are. He says like this. I will not leave the world till I am a Nazir. Cohen says to his wife, the get should take effect a moment before I die. She's not permitted to eat truma immediately, because the next moment he may die. And if that means the get takes effect immediately, so she's no longer the wife of the Kohen. They're not exactly comparable. Why? Let's say she eats the truma. Really, she shouldn't eat truma. Let's say she eats the truma, he lives another 20 years. In retrospect, did she violate eating truma? No. He says, she shouldn't eat because he may die. But what happens if actually he doesn't die? She's still the wife of a Kohen. Meaning, every moment going forward, she's not permitted to eat truma. Because he said the get should be a get a moment before I die. That next moment may be the moment he may die. So you're not permitted to eat truma. Let's say she ate truma. She ignored it. And it turned out he was alive. He didn't die. That means she's still the wife of a Kohen. Because the get is conditional. It should only take effect the moment before he dies. So she's not permitted to eat truma because he may die. But let's say she did eat the truma. She did the wrong thing. She did the wrong thing. And turned out he didn't die. In retrospect, did she do the wrong thing? She didn't do the wrong thing because she's still the wife of a Kohen, right? He says, but over here we're saying, if he says, I will be a Nazir before I leave this world, he has to accept, that means he's accepting to be a Nazir the moment before he dies. So since he doesn't know when he's going to die, what does he need to say? I accept to be a Nazir immediately, to make that acceptance. So therefore it's with definiteness. That's what he says. There shouldn't be a question regarding the Kodem Shepotim in Olam. The way he said it, he's not a Nazir immediately, but he has to accept the Nazirus immediately. He says, regarding Nedarim, person says, I will bring a korban. How many regalim have to pass before he's in violation? 3. He says, lesser, no. Here he says, I will bring a korban. So Torah says, when you say I will bring, you have 3 regalim to bring the korban. Here the man says, I will be a Nazir before I die. So what does that mean? That means you have to do it immediately. Because you don't have 3 regalim to wait. Because what happens if you die before 3 regalim? So that means the obligation is immediate. If the obligation is immediate and you delay that obligation, then you're in violation of Al-Ta'acher. Lo amahochi, dim kein havalei nozla alta krishin, mai oma lo epotim in okeim and shekeim, have ke omer, harei olai lohavi korban miyad, the commonly bal ta'achel altar. He says, let's say a person say, I will bring a korban before I die. Let's say that's what he says. He's in violation of bal ta'achel immediately. The person says, harei olai, I will bring a korban. Torah says you have 3 regalim to bring the korban. What if a person says, I will bring a korban before I die? That means you have to bring it immediately. Because since you don't know when you're going to die, right? So if you don't bring the korban immediately, you may not be able to bring it. So what was the netter? To bring it immediately. If that's the case, you have no right to delay. You follow me? You have no right to delay. Ubedinu dava motzi rovadu kum v'omer kodim she'avru beishonim ahay nozir haygavna omal havali bal ta'achir karbonis lo over adu gimurgo el miu kevon the lo motzi lukmi v'omer harei alai bekarbonis yek ki karbonis brishis itzach lukdushay tenoi haylishna de haygavna komli bal ta'achir lauter keni oli okay yotzasi de chovosi b'kol shimu rishon baloch is okay. That's Rav's answer. Next one. Nobody's arguing. No, it can't take effect after he dies. Because a man who dies can't give a get. So that means it has to take effect when he's alive. When the marriage is still viable, you're terminating it. Let's see, the get take effect after I die. Meaningless. That's meaningless. That's the difference. Before he dies, after he dies. Okay. Rav Acha go the Omar. Rav Acha says, what did he say? Go the Omar. Go the Nazar Ubesakvoris. Listen to the story. A man, he's in the cemetery. And he says, when he's in the cemetery, he's Hareini Nazir. So what happens? Could you be a Nazir in the cemetery? Won't you say that? You contaminate yourself. You're violating. So what does that mean? So the question, is he a Nazir and he violated his Nazirus? Or do we say, no, it's not even effective? Because saying it in the situation where you can actually fulfill it, not from get-go, it's nothing. So Mor says like this. So if a person says, I am a Nazir in the cemetery, that means you have to leave the cemetery. What happens if he chooses not to leave the cemetery? You're in violation of Al-Tacher. Because here you said you're becoming a Nazir. Torah says, but it's delayed. You're holding it up. That means you have to leave the cemetery to become a Nazir. So the delay not to leave the cemetery causes you to be in violation of Al-Tacher. But if you have the opinion, we'll see the run Rav Yochanan holds, then the Nazirus takes effect immediately, and you're in violation of your Nazirus. So again, you're not delaying. Michael Meimar, let's take on the Ran. The Ran says, Ubesakvoros, listen, Shetzorach lotzis miyad. The person in the cemetery, he has to leave the kabel of Nazirus. V'chilo nofik, if he doesn't leave the cemetery immediately, komle bal ta'acher, he's in violation of bal ta'acher, delaying, leaving. He says, Plukted Rabbi Yochanan Reish Lakish. This issue, if you're in a cemetery, you accept the Naziros, is it effective or not, is an argument to Rabbi Yochanan Reish Lakish. Paragimel de Nazir, the third chapter of Nazir. Yochanan I Ochel V'Shosi Ai Beis HaKvoris. Rabbi Yochanan says, if you're in a cemetery, if you eat grapes and you drink wine, lucky, you receive Malchus. So that means the Naziris took effect. The Chayla Le Naziris Miyad, because the Naziris takes effect immediately. The Reish Lakish Lo Chayla Ale. According to Reish Lakish, the Naziris does not take effect. So what? He nofik Beis HaKvoris, when he leaves the cemetery, Tzorach Las L'Kab, he has to recommit himself. So not leaving the cemetery, he's delaying his commitment to be a Nazir. Okay? So the Gemara says, but that's only going to contrary. V'yod Homa Mar Bar Rav Ashi, he says, secondly, it's difficult. Chayli Naziris Le Mialter. Even Reish Lakish agrees that Naziris is effective immediately in the cemetery. He plegli Malchus plea. They're only arguing, would you get Malchus? Since initially it couldn't be fully effective because he contaminated himself, right? The question is, he's not going to be in violation. So again, it's not Baltachir, because then even Reish Lakish agrees he's a Nazir, except you're not subject to Malchus. So he says, Gemara says, Afil Hochi, Kimle beBaltachir Mishum Deko Ba'achir Naziris Tairo. He says something phenomenal. Beis. Meaning like this, when a person almost says Hareini Nazir, what does Nazir mean? Nazir in a pure state. Let's say a person accepts his Naziris in the cemetery, even if it's effective. But when you accept it, what is the obligation of Naziris? To be a Nazir that's not contaminated. So that means you have an obligation to get out of the cemetery and do whatever you have to do to get to a state of purity. Let's say he doesn't. Then you're delaying. You're delaying the acceptance. When the Torah says Nazir, what does Nazir mean? Nazir means Naziris Tetaro. A Nazir in a pure state, not in a contaminated state. So if the person accepts it in a contaminated state, then he's contaminated. So what does he have to do? What did you accept upon yourself? To be a Nazir in a pure state. But as long as you stay in the cemetery, nothing's happening. So you have to immediately address the issue of being contaminated to be able to become a Nazir in a pure state. Let's say the person delays. You're violation of Baltachir. That's the case. Okay? No, he's not going to get out of the contaminated. No, it takes 7. He needs the paraduma, and he has to shave his hair, bring the korban. Then he'll start counting clean days. He'll start counting a new 30 days. No 2 30-day periods, right? Because immediately. So he has to get out of the contaminated state to start counting the 30. But let's say he delays. So he delays. That's Baltachir. So Afilo Kamle Paltachir Mishum de Kamachin is yours the Tyro. Omer Ravashi. So Ravashi Hol V'chein. He says if that's the Nazir Timi Atzma Bezet, forget about it. Let's say a Nazir accepts regular Naziris. Ravashi says we don't have to say he accepted originally in the cemetery. Person's a Nazir, and then intentionally goes and contaminates himself. When he contaminated, what did he do? You did something which you're holding up the Naziris of Tara. You accept on yourself to be a Nazir who's Tar. You go intentionally, you contaminate yourself. So what did you do? You've canceled the Nazirus, and you're holding it up. You're in violation of Baltachir. Because when was the Nazirus meant to be completed? In 30 days. But now that you contaminated yourself, what did you do? You put everything on hold. Therefore, you're in violation of Baltachir. You've delayed the completion of the Nazirus. It's Amr Hov V'chein. If you're saying you can be in violation of Baltachir because you need the Nazirus of Tara, of purity, Nazir Timi Atzum B'mezet over Mishum Baltachir the Nazirus Tara. Let's see the Ran. Ela man yom malta chayla le Michael Amema came the chayla le Nazirus lek Baltachir Lolam. Chayla Nazirus l'alter v'lotzar Kabbalah ki nofek linya Malchus who the plea the Gemara says according to Maber Ravashi they're only iloki alachilas anovim beolder beis akvoros came the chayla Nazirus lotzar Kabbalah. He says the kamaacher le Nazirus the Tara. You're delaying Nazirus of purity mishamochi kom le Baltachir. So Rav Ashi says, if you're saying that already, we don't have to say he accepted the Nazirus in the Beis HaKvaris. He was a regular Nazir, and he intentionally contaminated himself. Klomer, Kaven de Amrit. Davagav the Chayle Nazirus, Kaven de Luchayle Betara, Ikabal Ta'acher, Av Nazitor. Let's talk about a Nazir initially was a Nazitor. Shetimi Atzmo B'mezid, intentionally he contaminated himself. Obal Ta'acher, Veloki. He's in violation of Al Ta'acher because by contaminating himself, now you're delaying everything. Even though we know there's a separate prohibition of Nazir is not permitted to contaminate himself. Betray Lavi K'dichsiv Lo Yitamo Chsiv Nami Al Kol Nafshis Lo Yovo. He's already in violation of 2 Lavim if he contaminates himself. Vama Nami Hayom Rishon Yiplu, and we say the first days are canceled. Lavla Memro Shlo Yeol of Onish. Achu doesn't mean to say it's limited to that. There's another punishment. El Milki Nami Lokim Shum Bal Ta'acher. Okay, that's one of our answers. Ravacha, we're going further. Ravacha Brei Doraviko Amar Ove Baltacha Taglochoso. Yeah, now what's the halacha that? What happens after 30 days? You have to cut your hair. The Nazir cuts his hair. Now the question is the cutting of the hair, is that a prerequisite to ending the Nazirus? First, let's say a Nazir doesn't bring any of his korbanos. He's not permitted to drink wine. Minimally, he has to bring 1 korban, which is the chatos, the sin offering, to be permitted to drink wine, to contaminate himself. Everybody agrees. No, he has to bring a chatos. What, in addition to chatos, do you have to cut your hair? There's an opinion you have to cut your hair. In addition, you have to cut your hair, which you burn in the sanctuary, and then you're free. Okay? So he's asking, Ravash Omar over about Achid the Taglachas. Lo mi boy leman the Taglachas makeves. It's not a question according to the opinion that the cutting of the hair interferes with the completion of the Nazirus. Filman Taglas ain't makeves. Right? Even it's just a mitzvah. Mitzvahs kiluach milu b'kayim. He's delaying that mitzvah. You're supposed to cut your hair after 30 days by contaminating himself. What is he doing? Right? He's delaying it. Run. Look to here, the Rebbe Lezer Rabbanon, it's an argument in Nazir. The Rebbe Lezer Hoksiv Ache Yishteh Nazir Yayin. It says, then after this, the Nazir is permitted to drink wine. Hainu Kol Amasu Kulan Dain Taglachas. Hatzos Domim, the Rabbanim Yache, Vikorbanosum Mutib Yayin. Okay? Marzucher Breder Amori Oma Ove Baltache Korbanosov. Here, you know what you're in violation of. What happens if Nazir finishes his 30 days? You're listening. He doesn't bring his korbanos. He delays. He's in violation of Bal Ta'acher of not bringing his korbanos, of Nazir. Somewhere asks, it says, we learn from the Pasuk that a person has to bring the korbanos. Elu chatos v'ashamos. Right? It says these are the sin offerings and the guilt offering that the Nazir brings. So what do I need the Hekesh to tell me? He's in violation of Bal Ta'acher. We have another Pasuk that tells me that if you don't bring your korbanos, you're in violation of Bal Ta'acher. Mal say mechidushu shechidush Torah ben Nazir. You'd say by Nazir is a chidush. Why? My chidush. Ilay meldo matvis lechatos. Nazir ben Neder. He's asking. Maybe he wants to. You know what the chidush by. Let's say a person would say by the chatos of Nazir. A person would say, I accept upon myself to bring a chatos of a Nazir. Is it binding in that statement? The person says, I accept myself to bring a shlamim. You have to bring a shlamim. I accept upon myself to bring an olah. You have to bring an olah. I accept upon saying a chatos. You don't have to bring. You're not able because you only have to bring a chatos if there's a basis to bring a sin offering. If there's no basis to bring a sin offering, you can't bring. I accept myself to bring an osham, a guilt offering. It's meaningless. You can only bring a guilt offering or a sin offering if there's a basis that you're guilty and you're obligated to. You need that level of atonement. If you don't need that level of atonement, the statement is meaningless. An olah you can bring voluntarily. A peace offering you can bring voluntarily. A toda you can bring voluntarily, because there's always what to give thanks for. But a sin offering or a guilt offering, it's only if you sinned and you're guilty. Otherwise, you can't bring. He says, you know what the Chiddush in Nazir is? If a person would say, I obligate you to bring the chatas of a Nazir, it's meaningless. Which is not the case by other korbanos. Someone says, what are you talking about? Hari chatas chelif. If a person doesn't inadvertently eat chelif, and you say, I want to bring the chatas as if I did eat chelif. It's not she'ein matfisa. Beneder. Shem vis mer. V'over bal ta'acher. Right? You are in violation of Bal Ta'acher. Elamai Chudusholme Hol Vim Omar Reini Noza Filim in Achertzen. Having Nozer L'chol Emelo L'Aver Bal Ta'acher. He's interesting. Let's say a person says Hareini Nozir, right? So you're a Nozir. One person says, I am a Nozir just from eating the grape. See, when you say Nozir is all inclusive. He says, I am a Nozir not to eat a grape. You say, you know something? You can't dictate. It's either the whole package or nothing. Saying that, it's as if you said, I am a Nozir. It's a chiddush. That even though originally you accepted upon yourself a limitation, Torah says, even though you said it in a very limited context, you're a full Nozir. That's a chiddush. So therefore, maybe you would say you shouldn't be in violation of Bal Ta'acher, because the whole obligation that comes upon you is really novel. Even though you didn't fully accept, it's as if you did fully accept. Kamash from on that you're in violation of Bal Ta'acher. It says, Honich l'man diyomar ki Nozir min achartz and having Nozir l'kol. That's very good if you hold that if you say, I am a Nozir just from the grape or from the seed, I'm a Nozir. So therefore, you'd say the liability of chatos, if you delay, maybe you shouldn't be in violation. Elo Reb Shimon damei Nozir achi yazmi kulon. Reb Shimon is of the opinion, unless you say I'm a Nozir from everything, not to contaminate myself, not from wine, not from grapes, not from cutting my hair, it has to be all-inclusive. There's no such thing as accepting just part of the Nazirus. You accept part of the Nazirus, it's nothing. Michael Lemema, Vod Ho Chiddush L'Chumra. Who? The Chiddush of Nazir, if you say you're a Nazir, even if you accept the grape, that's L'Chumra. If you find a Chiddush L'Kula, there's a leniency. So you'd say, like, I'm lenient regarding this, you're lenient regarding Bal Ta'acher. But this exception, there's a Chumra. Elamai Chiddush Shokai Taichamina, Hoil. I would have thought, Hoil, turning the page. Hoil. Vim Gilech Alachs Mishloshtem Yotzo. Lo lava love, Bal Ta'acher Kamashman. The chiddush is this. Normally, we said he has 3 korbanos he has to bring. You listening? He has to bring a shlabim, he has to bring a chatas, he has to bring an osham. Let's say he just brings the chatas, he cuts his hair. That's sufficient. You don't have to bring all the korbanos. So that's a chiddush, that's a leniency. Normally, let's say a person is obligated to bring a korban to go into the Beis HaMikdash. Until you bring all those korbanos, you're not permitted to go into the Beis HaMikdash. Let's say a person was a mitzorah, was a leper. Leper, until he goes through the full ritual, brings all his korbanos, he's not permitted to walk into the Beis HaMikdash. In regard to a Nazir, he's permitted to drink wine as long as he brings his chatas. One of the 3 korbanos cuts it, it's enough. He doesn't need more than that. So that's a leniency. So I'd say, since we say we're lenient regarding his korbanos, because we see he's permitted in everything, although in one of the 3, and he cuts his hair, maybe he shouldn't be in violation of Bal Ta'acher. That we have the hekesh to say no, just as by Nedarim in violation of Bal Ta'acher, by Nozir you're also in violation of Bal Ta'acher. You get it? Okay, let's see the Ran, first side of the page. Bal Ta'acher korbanos, lachu kim da inov Bal Ta'acher el lachu gimel regon el chatos v'shamos. Korbanos Nazari Bichlal. Somewhere else. What do we need? The hekesh. I should learn Bal Ta'acher. Why should the korbanos of Nazir be any different than all other korban? Any other korban you're obligated to bring a korban, a mitzorah. How many regalim do you have to bring the korban? 3 regalim. So why would I think if a Nazir delays bringing his korban, why would I think he shouldn't be in violation of Bal Ta'acher? What do I need a hekesh to tell me you'll be in violation? Smor says no, because there's something unique about the korban of the Nazir is chiddush. Ma'adu sema ilava keshen oram lo mitzvahs leilchatus Nazir beneder. The kilo she'eni yochlat fisa beneder. Shem omer chatus Nazir olai v'eina Nazir. Person says, I accept upon myself the sin offering of Nazir, and he's not a Nazir. Lo maklum, it's meaningless. Hol the kilo solka daitoch lo leikem alei Bal Ta'acher. So maybe you shouldn't be in violation of Bal Ta'acher. No. The basis for the sin because the basis for a sin offering is only if you're obligated. A peace offering you give voluntarily. A burnt offering you give voluntarily. It's called chatos Nazir. If you're a Nazir, you need the chatos. No. He said, I accept on myself to be a no. He says, I want this animal to be a chatos Nazir. That's what he says. He said, I want this animal to be an ola. It's an ola. You can't. I mean, a man says, I want to be a woman. You're not a woman, you're a man. How could you be a woman if you're a man? Same thing. So the Gemara says, but why is that unique to chatos nos? That's true even with chaylev, right? Regular chatos you bring, person inadvertently eats non-kosher fat. You have to bring a chatos. It's from the part of the animal that's chaylev. And he says, I want to bring a chatos chaylev. You're not obligated. If you didn't eat chaylev, you can't bring an achot. Kloma kol chatos tani mikri kula chatos chaylev isbu kula. And yet you are in violation of baltache. Vafilu hochi koyale baltache vekeshel omli. So he says, you know what the chiddush by what it is? If a person says, I'm a nazir, not even to eat the cherza, not even to eat the seed, the grape seed, or even an olive, the grape. Secondly, Mor says, but again, firstly, not everybody agrees. Secondly, that's a l'chumra. Mor says, no, there was a leniency. A nazir has 3 korbanos to bring. You don't have to bring all 3 korbanos and then cut your hair. Even if you bring one of the korbanos, it's sufficient. That's further. Okay, let's go further. Another understanding. Why would I not learn baltacher as learn all other korbanos? My chidushay, hear this. What's the chidush by nazir? Mishum lo mitzvahs beneder v'okal kashelo chatos chelev ka'ashel chaporo. He says there's a difference. Why? We said, you know what the chiddush is? The chiddush is that you can't bring upon yourself an obligation to bring a chatos nazir. Someone says, but why is that different than a chatos chelev? If you didn't eat chelev, you can't bring upon yourself the obligation. No, there's a difference. What's the difference between a chatos chelev and a chatos nazir? Chatos chelev is an atonement korban. Because you ate chelev inadvertently, which is a Torah violation, you have to be atoned, so you bring a chatos chelev. So if you don't need the kapara, you don't need, because you can't bring upon yourself that obligation. On nazir, what atonement do you need? The Torah says you bring a chatos, but it's not an atonement offering. Although it's called sin offering, it's not an atonement offering. You following? So the Rania said, yeah, but it's not at that dimension. When you eat chaylev, you ate something that carries liability of koris. That's serious business. So therefore, unless you have that serious deficiency, that's why you can't bring the chatos, unless you have the deficiency. Here, you denied yourself wine. We're talking about a small infraction. That small infraction, maybe you could accept upon yourself. Because everybody's far from perfect. It's not this infraction, some other infraction. So maybe you should be able to bring a chatos chaylev. Chatos for the nose. That's what he says. He says, by chatos chaylev, lo matfis neder, the kashlo chatos chaylev causes l'chapora. Chatos nozl mayoso. But chatos nozl, what do you bring it for? What kapara does he need? Did he do such a gross sin? Good, he denied himself. He could have had pleasure from wine, he denied himself that pleasure. But that's not enough. So maybe he should be able to accept upon himself that type of chatos. Someone says, what about chatos yoledis? The law says kapara. What about chatos yoledis? A woman gives birth. It says after 40 days, if she gives birth to a male, she has to bring a sin offering. What sin did she do? Even though there's also the aspect of sin. What is it? Because she swore when she was giving birth, she'll never have another child because she was suffering so. That's the difference. By a chatos chaylev, by a woman, you know what the baltacher is? Because there, until she brings a chatos, she's not permitted to eat kosher. It's like the Matorah is contaminated. He cannot go in the Beis Hamikdash. Right? So the Ran learns to go shari lo lech lo kochim. Let's take the Ran. So he says, but there's no obligation. So the Ran asks, what about, so you can't drink wine? He says, but we're talking about an obligation. A woman has an obligation to eat the Korban Pesach, correct? Until she brings her chatos yoledah, she cannot eat her Korban Pesach. So it's holding up kochim, an obligation. Okay? A nazir, and if you don't drink wine, there's no Torah obligation anyway to drink wine. So the immediacy of the korban is not an issue. But by yoledis, that immediately bring that, it's a big issue. Because unless you bring that, you cannot eat the Korban Pesach. So that's why it's because you've delayed. You've delayed. Because she's mechus b'purim. The woman, until she brings a korban, she's not permitted to go into the Beis Hamikdash. So he says, you don't go to the Beis Hamikdash. No. But she can't eat kochim. She has an obligation to eat the Korban Pesach. Until she brings a Korban, she's not permitted to eat the Korban Pesach. Let's take a look at the Ran on the first side of the page. Chatos ched vosel kapora umshavochi avagav disbei kulo deinu yochol atfiso beneder. Came in the mitzvah levi lechaper olav. There's a mitzvah to bring atonement. Dinu she'ava baltacher aval chatos nozir ispo kulo. You have a leniency. You have two leniencies. Firstly, you can't bring the obligation upon you. Stay about atfiso beneder v'lo mitzvah b'midi v'legmei baltacher. There's nothing forbidden to you that it's holding you up. So he said, whatever, there is something. You're not permitted to drink wine. Well, you're holding up, you're not permitted to drink wine. Angel mitzvah, there's no mitzvah to drink wine. Even according to the opinion in Nazir, that a Nazir is a sinner because he denied himself wine, what you asked. Gomor. He's not really an absolute sinner. It's a small infraction. The main korban is not for that. Kosher beinai. Now the Ran asks, Akati taste korban nozir b'me'atzad michel of chatos l'shlom v'nirali deinzu halocho hochanami keil kemdul gubri kronofik me'atzad hekesha adifod komashe. Okay. So Maria asks, Ivory chatos yoledz lo asil kaporo. The chatos yoledz. I mean, what is she atoning for? What did she sin? She had a child. Even though the Gemara says when she's in labor and gives birth, she swears that she's not going to cohabit with her husband. Again, that's a slight infraction. It's not for that sin. Let's say she says she gave birth, she was sedated. She still has to bring the chatos, even though she never took such an oath. She never experienced that pain. Klum evi a korban, of course she brings it. And that runs some more answers. Koshari le lemechel kochim. Because by not bringing a korban, what is she holding up? She's not able to eat kochim. So Ran says, Kidduchsiv, the chibar le'ava tahiro, the achilus kochim mitzvi. Which achilus korban for a woman is a mitzvah? Where is the mitzvah for eat kochim? Kugon achilas psochim, the ishanami mechayva. A woman has an obligation to Korban Pesach. So by not bringing a Korban, what is she holding up? She's holding up the obligation. She has an obligation to the Korban because the Torah says you must be in a state that you can eat the Korban Pesach. So that's called delaying. You're delaying, you don't drink wine, but that's not called a delay. It's not a delay. So over here, the Tosas says differently, which we'll talk about. Okay, we'll stop here.